Hey there! Welcome back to wildsunne Art Studio. My name is Robinsunne, and today is day 7 on our journey towards Valentine's Day. Today we've got a really cool project. I've been wanting to do this and make this for a really long time. The possibilities are legion. Please like, comment, subscribe, or share this video if you like it. We are making a game board today. Isn't this adorable? So you start here and you make your moves all along the path, and then you end up, ta-da, here. Now, because we are making this board by ourselves, we can have the rules that we want to have. We can make up special things along the way. We can use dice to move, or, and I'll tell you about this, we can use cards so that, you know, they're upside down, and you take the card and the first person gets to go to the lavender color, and then the second person gets to go to the dark purple color, you know. So you'll move in that way. But if you would like to use a die or dice, that's totally fine too. This is our game, and we have total permission to play it however we like it. So I had to make this first before I could tell you how to make it, so that I knew where the gnarly parts are, because getting our path to wind around is a little tricky. Now, the way to not have that happen is you could start out and use squares that go in a very square pattern. Could have them come up here and go there and go there and go there, you know, end up wherever you like. And you can start and finish in these two places, or start over here and just wind around in that direction, or start over here and wind around in that. You can do whatever you want. I thought I would talk about how I made this, and then you can make some different choices if you like. So let me show you. Remember, we were making all those sweet little Valentines with glitter. So I found some different colored glitter, and I was making little Valentines to be pretty in the middle here. This is one of my stickers. This is actually another one of my stickers. Another Valentine with different colored glitter. There's a little Valentine with my iris sticker. And there's an arrow sticker. So I hope you can see all of that. I also put in a little bit. Can you see this? Does it flash? The little silver dots. Okay. So here is my game board. Let me show you. I blocked it all out. So we need one game board, which is either an 8.5 by 11 or an A4 size piece of cardstock. But really, you could make it on the back of a cardboard box. You could get some foam core. That would be fun. You could cover a piece of cardboard with some pretty paper. You could do like floral paper, you know, in the background rather than this blue. And it doesn't have to be made for Valentine's Day. You could make a pirate one, or a one for chefs, or a one for people who drive fire trucks, or one for, yeah, I mean, a fashion show one. Yeah, we could go on for a very long time. This game board can be kind of directed towards anything. Okay, so then we need a start box and a finish box. Or actually, I was thinking there could be one box in the middle and the goal of the game is just to go around in a circle. So you could do that too. But my boxes are 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, or about, and I messed this up, 6 centimeters, not 6 millimeters, by 6 centimeters. So that's start and finish. And then we needed to make these cards. They're not all purple, some are red. I made 20 cards. I think that's going to be enough. I actually haven't game tested this yet, but I've played a lot of board games in my life. I'm pretty sure this will work. So I think 20 cards is a good number. I cut out 20 pieces that are 2 inches by 2 inches or 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. And I cut out 20 pieces of 3 different colors. There's a dark purple, there's a lavender purple, and there's a red. So, yeah, I just cut out, basically about 7 of each. And those are 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch, or 4 by 4 centimeters, and they get glued right on top so that they look like that. And then we needed all the stepping stones. And I used exactly 30 to get around my game board. But I would recommend you make a couple of more. Because we have to cut them to make them go around corners. If you're doing that, if you're doing, angular paths, then you don't need to cut them. Actually, however you make your path, you might need more or less stepping stones than I made. But more or less, about 35, 1 inch by 1 inch, or 2.5 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters. Okay? So let me just show you that starting out, we started with a square edge here, but then I had to angle the little squares, and this one I angled on both sides. Both sides, both sides, both sides. So this is all just getting around the corner. There's 2 straight edges. So let me just show you what I did. I took one of my little squares and I came in maybe 1/4 inch, centimeter, is that right? Oh, not even a centimeter. 5 millimeters, 4 millimeters. What is that? 1/4 inch, yeah. So I didn't measure it. I just came in a bit and I cut from here to straight up to the corner like that. And then if I needed both sides done like this one, I did it on both sides. So I started out, they were all square, but then to get around the bend, I edged them in a little bit. And I just did it by eye. I didn't measure them all, so this is a little imperfect. There was once right here where I angled it this way in that direction, but then most of them come towards a V. This one had to end up being a parallelogram in order to go from this right hand, or curve to the right, to a curve to the left. I needed to mix and match. So what I did, and this took forever, which is why I made this ahead of time and not with you, but I kind of, I just put squares, I just kind of mashed them around in in the right direction. And then I would Okay, so I started out with red and then I had purple. So I knew I didn't want it to be square like that. I wanted it to start bending around in a circle. So that told me that I needed to trim that a little to make it look like that and go around. And then I cut them and laid them all out as precisely as I could, which they would move, and I'd mess it up. So I did the best I could. I got to about here and I had to rearrange the way I wanted it. So absolutely do not glue stuff down until you've laid out as specifically as you can the entire path. Then go back and start gluing them in, and you'll find out that you're off by a little bit and you might have to do a little adjustments. Yeah, so just take it really slowly. This is not a project to rush on. A much easier way is to go sort of in a squared off. But if you want it to have little curvies, just take it nice and slowly. So you can have, what I was thinking would be really fun is if you got to this square and it said, hop on one leg 3 times. And you got to this square and it said, sing a scale of notes. And you got to this square and it said, pat your head and rub your tummy. Little silly things. Or it could be, I don't know, you can have people do anything that might be fun. If you've got some little kids and their energy is really getting out of hand, you could have them run all the way around the table, or depending on how your house or something is configured, you could have them run around the house a little bit, run around the outside of the house if they're really need some gross motor movement. So just play that by ear. You can give directions here. Shake somebody's hand, give somebody a hug. Yeah, you can really play with that. Or you can just have people go through the path, and at the end of the path, they get a little candy or something. Or, I'll let you play with this. You can do this however you like. And then comes the question of what do we use for markers? So I don't have any coins here, but of course a coin would work perfectly. So would a little bit of shell or a button, or, because I have to do these things, you could use roses. So yes, I'm in the picture. This is a little curled up rose, and I would be delighted to show you how to make a rose. Start out with a piece of paper that is 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, or 6 centimeters by 6 centimeters. And I like for this project using a little bit longer bladed scissor, not a little tiny thing. Now I'm going to make some marks on this card, but what I'm really expecting is that you will just use your eye, but to make sure that you can tell what I'm talking about, I want you to have a sense of where the middle of each square is. We're now going to have little silver marks on our rose, but that'll be okay, because this is just... We need to start off with a circle, and so we need to curve and cut off these corners. So I'm going to start at the middle of this side and cut until I get to the middle of that side. And I'm actually going to use my arms a lot. And we're going to cut. Then I'm going to start here and cut off that corner. And I'm going to start here and cut off that corner. Then I'm going to start here and cut off that corner. And it's not a perfect circle, but it's great for these flowers. It helps to give these flowers a little bit of the irregularity of actual flowers and their petals. All right, so we'll turn it over so that we're pretending. We're going to cut a spiral going in, and it doesn't matter whether you cut it going right or going left. And so if this is how big the circle is, sort of gauging on my hands, that's how wide you want to cut. Now, this is going to be imperfect. There isn't any way to make it not imperfect. I see a little edge, a little corner right there. I'm going to cut that off. And there's another one over here where I started. That always happens. You always make a little corner. So you can just cut that off. It's a little more roundishy. And then you just keep going around. And this is going to be, again, amazingly imperfect. But it helps lend some authenticity to your rose. We want to end up with something about as big as a US dime, about as big as your thumbnail, sort of like that. Now you'll notice we're going to start rolling this up, but this comes to a point which I find a little awkward to start. So I come up a bit and just round that edge. Let's get all these little fluffies out of the way. I'm going to move this for a minute because we're going to end up with some glue in a minute, and I really don't want to get glue. And I would recommend a water-based glue that is not quite so sticky as Fabri-Tac. The Elmer's works just great. Craft and Bond, I think the Eileen's too will work just fine. Glue stick wouldn't work at all because you need the depth. You need to have something really grab. We're going to glue in the middle, but not yet. When I start out these roses, I make a little zigzag, 1, 2, 3, zigzag. Hope you can see that. Hope the camera's picking it up. And then we just start rolling. This funny thing happened today while I was making the roses. I'm noticing that if I don't look at it, I have a little bit easier time rolling this up. See where we're getting? And your fingers will tell you that you've got a lumpy, bumpy roll here. And it's just fine. You're doing great. It's not supposed to be even. It's supposed to be a little irregular. We're actually rolling kind of V-shaped paper. So it really is not going to be even. But like I keep saying, it adds to the sort of authenticity of what a rose really looks like. So we end up, and we've gotten to the end of what we can roll up. Now we're going to put a little spot of glue there, and we're actually, oops, it's dried out. We're going to put a little puddle of glue there. And it's a good idea to keep this pretty tight, but we're going to let it relax a little bit when it gets into the glue. So if it unwinds a little in your fingers, we're fine. So do you see, where am I? There I am, that there's actually quite a little puddle there. You don't want it too much because we don't want to make a mess. And then we set the rolled up rose right in the middle. And we just need to sit here and talk about the weather or something like that for a moment or so, maybe even almost a minute, while this, sorry if I just hit my microphone, while this sort of sets and catches the paper. Hopefully the glue is kind of squishing up in between all the rows of the curls of the paper. And then you will want these to have an hour or overnight to dry before you actually start using them as playing pieces on your game. So everybody will start here, and then somebody will take a card. First person goes to red. The second person gets to go to lavender. Third person goes to lavender. And the fourth person goes to... Oops, sorry, we moved to that. We shouldn't have. Oh, actually, it's just the outside. Okay, I'm going to sit here and hold this for another moment. Anyway, you get the idea. Just keep taking cards and do shuffle them. So the cards have, I don't know if I said this, but these cards have the same 3 colors that all the stepping stones have. And you can decorate your board however you like. If you want to use, it might be fun is if you have an old, you could use a cardboard box, big piece of blue board. You could use a piece of foam core. Go to the store and get one of those. They're like 20 by 30 inches or so. Get a big piece of foam core. What is that? Like a little bit less, 90 centimeters by maybe 60, something like that. And you could make a big one, and you could use little matchbox cars or little tiny dollies that you get. Oh, have you ever been to the grocery store and they have those like gumball machines outside, but they have other stuff than gum. They have little toys. My son used to get these little ninja guys. They would be awesome on this board. Yeah, so little tiny people. Toy people. Yeah, so the theme can change. It doesn't have to be just for Valentine's Day. We could use this concept all year long. And then everybody moves around and we all get to finish. You can give everybody a piece of candy. I didn't say that. I didn't really say that. That'd be a horrible thing to say. But I can say that I wish you many blessings. I hope you have fun as you prepare for Valentine's Day. I hope you're having a good time. If you've got kids, if you've got a partner, if you're living with any number of other people, I hope that you're all having good times with each other. And I hope you are enjoying these art projects or any art projects. Do consider making Valentines. Oh, you know what? My son had the sweetest idea. This is so cool. So I'm making Valentine cards hand over fist, and I have lots of them. And I was sort of talking to him about giving them to people on my Christmas card list that I hadn't gotten in touch with this year and that. And he said, some people make Valentine cards and give them to people at the hospital. So I think I've told you that a couple of years I got really sick. A couple of years ago, I got really sick, and then I got better. And some of the people that I worked with at the hospital were so enchanting, just so kind and warm and loving to me. And I was thinking that I could go back to that department and any patients who were there and the nurses and the doctors. So I might do that. I think that's a really cool idea to pay it back. So I wish your game of life to be a sweet and colorful one, and that we all get a chance to pay it back or pay it forward in whichever direction works out best for you. Alrighty, I will see you tomorrow with another fun project. Happy almost Valentine's Day.